Hi, it's Sarah. And you might have seen that Elected is now called the briefing note. That's right, I've rebranded and I want to share why and what things are going to look like going forward. First, the name Elected has always been an issue. Despite the love I have for it, no one could ever spell it. And of course, that I think also made it difficult to find it. So that had to change. Next is a much more difficult and existential kind of thing that I'm going through, not only related to this podcast, but even Madam Premier. And it's thanks to the American election. That night was hard for so many reasons, most of which we are only going to experience starting in the end of January when Donald Trump is re-inaugurated and he unleashes whatever things that he is planning, including probably more likely more AI generated images of him lording over Canada and absolutely trolling the shit out of us, along with all of the other bigger, more substantial things that aren't memes that are probably going to cause generational harm, as well as, the world collectively shaking its head from probably a lot of the things that are going to happen that we don't even know yet. Along with this, the results have made me think about how I do things, including what I say, how I say them, and even how I am perceived. Is it easy being a woman with strong opinions on politics and government on the internet? Of course not. And you will know that. And I ask myself, unfortunately, sometimes, what if I was a man? What would the world look like for me? What opportunities would I have that I don't? Unfortunately, I don't have a magic wand to solve this issue for myself or anyone else. Otherwise, you bet I would have used it a long time ago. But what I do know is that I'm not going to stop what I'm doing, but I am going to keep on evolving. How and where we get our information is changing, and I'm going to be changing with it. So you may have watched me share videos on Instagram on Madam Premier on issues, political issues. Going forward, those are going to be podcasts. That's right, very short issues-based podcasts on politics as well as culture. Yes, culture and politics. Politics and culture are so intertwined, and the influence of them both right now is so significant. I feel like 100 years from now, people might look back at this time and see it as pivotal in a lot of ways in terms of how we're doing things, the use of AI, not that I use it because I'm actually very much against that, but how the world has shifted in where we get our news and from who. So I want to talk about all of these things, and being a person with a microphone on the internet and a computer and a good internet connection, that's what I'm planning on doing. So what is this going to look like? Well, it's going to be, of course, as always, from my own perspective. So, for example, the postal strike, is it going to cause the death of Christmas cards? I mean, anyone in Canada currently experiencing the postal strike will know that if they had already been super on top of things and had a stack of cards waiting to be sent, that they're either waiting still where they were, or they're stuck, God only knows where, in some kind of Canada Post depot somewhere. So there's that. Or things like why I've decided to start saying Merry Christmas again, or cancel culture, or how Chappell Roan explained her positions during the US election. I'm hoping that this gives you an idea of the things that I want to talk about. But still, I'm going to be talking about politics, like why I think politicians can get away without having a platform, or how much parties are spending on digital ads and why that matters. And of course, as always, I see everyone and every party as fair game. Just like when I made Madam Premier's first design back in 2018, it was with the lens that of being multi-partisan. And if you've seen anything from Madam Premier, you will know, hopefully, that I try to at least be fair in distributing my equal criticism amongst all. I am not a partisan person, at least not anymore. That was my background. But now I don't speak for anyone except myself. And I'll admit it, it's really tough sometimes because the same polarization that we're all experiencing in a broader society, whether it be in Canada or abroad, is also affecting me through Madam Premier. People always want you to be on their team. And I'm really sorry, but I just don't want to be on anybody's team at the moment. So I've voted in the past Green, Liberal, Conservative, and NDP. And if you're here listening to me ramble on like this, I'm guessing that you might share something of a similar sentiment. Politically homeless, I don't like, there are so many different ways to describe it, but I really don't subscribe to the idea that, one party is going to always be the best place to reflect you as you go through life based on the policies and decisions and people even that they're going through or with, or anyways, I think you get what I'm saying. Fighting off the polarization to avoid the outright black and white of everything and living in the gray, because rarely is anything actually black and white. And that includes politics and culture. I am trying to look and find and explain and talk about the gray. But I know that if you've been following Elected and now the briefing note, you will expect or maybe be asking what's happening to the longer form conversations that I have with politicians. And those ones are not going anywhere. I will continue to make those podcasts, and they are going to be interspersed with the content, the shorter form content going forward. I'm not thinking about this as, you're losing anything. If anything, it's actually an expansion of it. And I guess I can say thank you to Donald Trump for this mini existential crisis, but I don't really want to go that far. It's just that things are changing and I'm going to change along with it. So I really appreciate you being on this journey with me, obviously listening to everything that I've had to say about the rebranding and the introduction of the briefing note. And as always, I just want to say I really appreciate you listening and liking and supporting and sharing and just even listening to this in your car, or who knows where you are right now. It means a lot to me that you would even include me in any way at any point in your life. And I really think that that connection and community, even over a distance, really means a lot. And it's something that I think we really need to hold on to in these absolutely crazy times that we live in. And I also want to say, I acknowledge I have so much respect for the fact that sometimes I say things or even you say things and I see them online and we don't agree. And I still want this to be a space and a place where we can hold multiple truths to be true at the same time. Two things or more even can be true at the same time, even though that can be really, really, really hard. It goes back to the black and the white and the gray. Holding multiple truths can be extremely challenging, but it's absolutely necessary, in my opinion. So, with that in mind, you can follow the briefing note in the same places as before on social media, on Instagram, X, and on Facebook by finding it as at the Briefing Note Podcast. As well as if you were already subscribed to Elected, the transformation into the briefing note has already taken place and you will already be seeing the change. So you don't need to do anything. Again, I really want to say thank you. And I'm really excited for what this updated version of my podcasting journey looks like with you. Thanks.